It's been about almost 2 months since I started traveling, so I thought I would share where I've been so far, what I have been doing, and how I've been feeling. By the way, I'm at a national park called Badlands National Park in South Dakota. So you're looking at the gorgeous park in the background. It's about 5:30 p.m. here, and there are some signs around here saying beware of rattlesnakes. So obviously there are rattlesnakes around. So I hope from now and around sunset the rattlesnake doesn't come out. It's actually a little bit ambiguous to think about when I started traveling, because although I lost my physical house in April and I moved into my camper van in April this year, I was constantly on the move along the East Coast of the United States. But I lived in New York for about 3 months, and I even had a business trip to another country. So a little bit ambiguous, but I set that September 5th is the starting day. So it's been about almost 2 months, and from then I was basically driving north from Northern Virginia along the east coast of the US. So I've been to Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Cape Cod, Boston, and Portland in Maine, and Accommodation National Park in Maine. After that, I entered Canada, and I've been to St. John and all the way to the east, the city of Halifax in Nova Scotia. After that, I turned to the west. I've been to Quebec and Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, and then I entered the US again. I've been to Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Minnesota, and then finally here in South Dakota. How have I been feeling? I've been feeling great. I watched the travel documentary by a backpacker. The director was a backpacker himself, and he named the documentary A Map for Saturday because that's how he felt every day was like. Because every single day was felt like another Saturday for him. Basically, that's how I've been feeling as well. And who wouldn't like a world where every day is just another Saturday? So, of course, I've been happy, but actually, I'm the kind of person whose emotional swing is not that wide. I tend to stay around the composed central level. Even then, I was having maybe a couple moments a day when I randomly felt that I'm glad that I'm doing this and I have been able to execute this plan into the reality. And there has been an overall enhanced sense of solidness of any day. So what I mean by that is that since every decision that I make, either big or small, is 100% my decision, so from the idea of wanting or not wanting something to the execution, it was just direct linkage, very minimal noise in between. So the color of a day is much more solid for me now compared to the past. So briefly, I want to share about expenses. So when I decided that I would travel for long term, of course I was curious about how much money is needed to support the plan. So I did search on the web, and the conclusion that I got was that if you're a backpacker, you would need about $70 to $80 per day. And because I decided to travel with a car, I expected that I would need more budget. So around $100 or $110 a day. And since I started traveling, I was recording everything with my smartphone, and the average so far is actually about $75 a day, which is great news, and I'm happy about it. I guess my savings were due to, well, I didn't have to take buses between cities and public transportation options within a city, or I didn't have to take any urgent Uber rides. So I think that was helpful, although I was constantly buying gasoline for my car. It was also thanks to the fact that my car didn't have any major breakdowns so far. It has been running great. So maybe my average budget would go up in the future. And there are a couple observations that I made so far that I want to share. The first thing is the fact that I usually do not know what day or date is today. It's something that I had expected would happen, but it happened really much quicker than I thought. I usually do not know whether today is a weekday or a weekend. That's funny. I usually like going to university places, university campuses. I like the vibe, and when I go there I realize that when I see the students walking with their textbook, when I see them going to classrooms, I realize that, wow, maybe some of them have quizzes, some of them have exams, and compare that to my reality right now, I even don't know what date it is today. So it's a new experience. I'm happy that I have a different type of lifestyle that doesn't require me to know what date is today. I also want to talk about staying at hostels. I think it's probably the only option to stay at hostels as your default accommodation option when you travel for long term. At least financially, that's the only option. I know at the same time that many people don't like hostels because there are lots of people, and because lots of people share the same facility, sometimes they don't work, and sometimes bathroom is not clean, and the amount of privacy in a 10-bed room could be really minimal. For me, it has been working really fine. It is true that I have a different option, which is my camper. It's not a very fancy one. It doesn't have any shower facility or bathroom, but it definitely is another option for me to sleep. So I have been alternating between the two. But hostels, because there are lots of interesting people with their stories and lots of travelers who are interested in other stories, so I like the vibe as well, and I get lots of useful information there. Also, I was collecting my own tips and tricks so that I can remain relatively more safer, more comfortable and clean when I'm staying at hostels. So it has not really been an issue for me. So when I decided that I would do the Americas portion of my travel with a car, I was curious how much the border crossing is feasible and what kind of documents are necessary. So I read the book and I watched some YouTube videos, and I realized that it is feasible and doable. But people say that first couple experiences could be nervous ones, and I had my first experience of border crossing about a month ago when I crossed from northern Maine of US into Canada, and that took about several hours, and there are several officers inspecting item by item, basically everything that I had in my car, in my bags. And actually when they stumbled upon my physical album of photos, like my personal stuff, I think it was kind of awkward when they saw them. Anyway, it was a lengthy process, and it was a little bit challenging to convince them that I don't have any bad intent when they know that I don't have an employer and I don't have a permanent address. The full-time traveler was a foreign concept to them. So it was not that easy. And I had my second experience of border crossing when I entered the US from Canada. It was the same process, same level of inspection, but I felt more informed and more comfortable even. I think I was better prepared with the answers to the questions. So I think that helped them as well. I think it has been improving, and I think I will enter Mexico in about 5 or 6 weeks. I'm a little bit more nervous about entering Mexico than crossing between US and Canada, but I know that it'll work, and with even another experience, I think I will be more comfortable with crossing borders. So when I was planning for my travel, some people asked me if I had anybody to travel with, and some even recommended strongly that I better find somebody to travel with for safety and other benefits. It's not that I didn't agree with them. I wanted to have somebody, but it simply was the fact that I didn't have anyone to travel with. So I decided to travel alone, and I was conscious about the subject of being lonely because it's going to be a long time traveling alone. It doesn't mean that I don't have any human contact all the time. In fact, I meet lots of people, and talking to new people, making new friends, that really has not been a difficult thing. It has been really easy. But the decisions about where you go and what you want to do and what you don't want to do, where you don't want to go, what you want to eat, I make it on my own. So even when I'm physically surrounded by other people, the sense of a day is different. In terms of loneliness, it has not really been an issue for me. I didn't really feel lonely or desperate to find people to talk to. I think I had other type of satisfaction when I travel alone. It's about the satisfaction that I have been okay even when I'm with myself alone, because sometimes, especially in this modern time, we really are not exposed to occasions when we need to face ourselves for a long time. Maybe briefly a couple times a day, but not for a long time. So I get to see what I like and I get to see what I don't like more clearly, I would say. It's weird to describe this way, but I feel more naked to myself these days. And you don't only get to discover good parts about yourself, it's more about the other parts, the not beautiful parts about yourself that you get to see more clear. And either it's good or bad. I think it's important to get to know yourself better, how you work, because upon that knowledge you build your foundation of your being, and with that I think you can make a more mature or stable relationship with other beings out there. So as an experience, I think I value this experience. So I plan to share my thoughts and observations hopefully on a regular basis. I like to do that to share with you, and also for me to be able to see any changes in my perspectives or evolution of my thinking. And also I am going to upload my itinerary as much detail as possible so that I can pre-arrange meeting with my friends in the cities that I'm visiting. And also I invite you to join me on any portion of the travel that I'm doing. So wait for the information as well. Thanks for watching.